Hello everyone, this is an ASSA Twin Max Plus. It's got 6 top pins and 5 side pins, and is the most recent pattern extension of the V10. You might have seen this log recently from me when I was using it to show how to gut a black belt lock for your bolt submissions. It's a good dual mechanism lock that's very easily able to show that sort of thing, so I chose it for that purpose. Now then, let's try and get in. So like the V10, the side pins are pretty easily bullied into position. You don't need to float it or anything like the 6K. Maybe an overset. Another overset. Yeah, so despite the fact that the sidebar is pretty easily bullyable, that also goes two ways, because it's rather easy to overset stuff if you're bad like I am. Alright, 1 set, 2 set, 3 set, 4 set, 5 set. Excellent. You'll get a good bit of core rotation when you set the sidebar if it binds first. Which tells you that it's isolated the top pins. If you don't, generally you have to pick the top pins first and then the sidebar will bind. So let's crank the tension a bit. These are barrels up top, as with all ASSA locks made after about 2000. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, very high set. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. So it's super high set. Oh, and it had even more to go. 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, and 5 a bit more, and we got the open. That was pretty quick. As I said, it's like the V10, so it's certainly not the hardest twin in the world. I'm not sure where I'll put my... Nice, I'll put it there. So hopefully I will gut this to an acceptable standard, and I will show you guys exactly what I will do. I will get a better angle downwards. Again, if you want, you can have a lower angle, and I'll actually use the easier way to gut for this one. So, hold on. As I said in my previous video, a lot of these mortises come with gut caps, which means that you can take out the top pins before you take out the side pins, which is a pretty nice feature. If you look down the core, not the core, sorry, down at where the core would be, you can see that the 6 steel barrels are in there. You can only put them in, you cannot put them in one way rather, they're the same on both sides, so barrel locks you can generally just dump them out, and I showed the key working, so we know that the bitting was also put in correctly. But that's more of a knowledge thing rather than a propriety thing. If you want, you can show your stuff properly. If this would be a gin lock, you would need to. So we'll get this, and now we'll do one. Sorry, let me arrange these properly. And 2. And the last pin is 3. So you can see 6 barrels there. I'll do a close-up later. You can't see much of the core, but that's why we have this back plate that you have to take off. Most twins in the mortise format have this kind of back plate. I think some of them have brass ones, but not too sure. This one's made of steel. Key. Where did I put the key here? And again, we'll take out the thing. Here is the sidebar. It's coded, as I said, a lot of high lifts in this one. If you wanted, you could flip it over and you could probably make it a lot of low lifts. You can see in the core there's threading on both sides. And I'll use a pick. I picked counterclockwise, so it would have been the right side milling. That would have been done. Side pins, which you can see have a deeper true gate than their false gates. Let's just see. Yep. I'll put my finger over them so they don't go everywhere. And you can see that unlike the V10, the Max Plus only has a ramp at the back. The V10, they could be either front or back, facing into like an interface. So this one is not so fancy, and I don't think that any of the other V10 pattern extensions had the same thing, despite it being a pretty decent keying feature. Side pin springs. Again, a look at the core, sidebar groove, side pin slots, top. I'll flip this over. If it would go in, that would be excellent. There we go. Okay, I'll zoom in a bit, and hopefully the focus will do me good. You can see the serrations there. Yeah, so that's the Max Plus. It's not such a difficult twin, but it's a fun one. Other than that, thank you everyone for watching. Have a lovely rest of your day.